Hi there. I wanted to make you a video of some thoughts that I have. I've been thinking about you a lot lately, obviously, and thinking about kind of the larger gestalt that is kind of happening. And I thought maybe a video would be a good way for you to be able to absorb this at whatever pace you wanted, when you wanted, without like having me in front of you and feel like I'm wagging my fucking hands at you or like whatever, you know what I mean? So that you know, so that you can go through this at your pace, react to it how you want to, and think about it and review it at your leisure. In thinking about why we are the way that we are, and the similarities that you and I have, and the similarities we share with other people of our ilk, I was really thinking about why I'm so attached to people like us. And I think that there's a large part of this that has to do with the fundamentals of our experience. We are full of darkness. We are hypersensitive people in a world that is not kind to us at all. And those feelings are overwhelming. They're always, all feelings are overwhelming. But those in particular build up and threaten to consume us. And they are, rage, anger, bitterness, cynicism, pettiness, the overall pain that we feel living in this world. We are people with no skin living in a world of salt and lime. And we carry that everywhere we go in excruciating amounts. And no one understands that. No one can understand how hard that is. To always be carrying this around, especially if you don't know how to cope with it. There are times when the only way to cope with it is to just fucking bathe in it. And I get that impulse. I get that. Oh, God, I get that. Because it's pure fucking ego and it's pure freedom. Fuck you. I don't feel anything. Nothing is gonna fucking get me down. No shame, no fucking regrets, no nothing. I'm gonna go fucking hard on everything. I'm gonna push every limit I have. I'm gonna go to the extremes of this fucking darkness because I'm gonna show you just how fucking grim I can be. I'm gonna show you what the limits of my goddamn darkness are. And you are gonna fucking bleed. I know that feeling. It's powerful. It is exciting. It is energizing. And it's pure ego. It's pure ego. And the problem with feeding your ego like that is that you starve your soul. I understand, I think, why you are doing what you are doing. You have fought against this darkness for as long as you can, and you just keep getting fucking smacked down. You get up every fucking morning intending to make choices. And then those aren't the choices that you make. And you wonder why. And that makes you feel like a bad person. Like, well, I must be a bad person. I'm making these bad choices, right? And then at some point, you're like, you know what? Fuck it. If I'm going to be this bad person, if I'm going to feel like a bad person, I'm just going to fucking be a bad person. Then fine, I will lean into this as hard as I can. I know that feeling. And man, I will never judge you for it. I will never judge you for that because I have been there. I will be there again. This is part of who we are. But this is why I love us so fucking much. We have this huge burden of pain, of suffering, of sorrow. We get up every day, morning, afternoon, and we make our choices. Sometimes we make good choices. Sometimes we make bad choices. Sometimes we have all of the great intention in the world. And the world just doesn't fucking cooperate. And we get slapped down, slapped down, slapped down. And it feels impossible. It feels fucking impossible. But it's not. Because every fucking day that you get up and you stare in that mirror and you face that darkness where you can't see a fucking thing, and you still live, you exist. Even if the best thing you can do that day is just not get out of bed and make it to the next day, you win. That's a victory. No one understands how fucking hard it is when you have new waves of pain crashing in on you every single minute of every single day to make the slightest fucking decision. And then the smallest thing can go wrong and everything fucking unravels. And we have to make the darker decisions to stay alive. That we have to self-medicate, or we have to blow off steam, or we have to get eye of the tiger. No one teaches us to carry this burden because no one sees the burden that we carry. I see it because I fucking carry it too. Pride is not the opposite of shame. It is its source. The opposite of pride is humility. That's the Uncle Iroh quote that I love so much. And I've been grinding on that in my head. I was like, what is that? What does that really mean? Pride and shame are both functions of the ego. You can whipsaw between the two of them, but neither one of them is fundamentally nourishing, and neither one of them is fundamentally true. Pride is simply puffing up your ego. Shame is simply the pain that you feel when that pride goes the other way. There's the dipstick of your ego, pride, shame, and you go between these two things. Sometimes you feel, we've talked about that. But that's ego. And that's knee-jerk, reactionary nonsense. It's garbage. Because the ego, in this sense, is not the self. The things that puff up the ego are not real. They're not true. So what is humility? Humility is that which allows you to step outside of the mechanics of the ego. Humility is accepting your faults and accepting that there is something larger than you. Not like in a spiritual sense or, you know, the thing with the gods, and fuck that shit. It's not about that. But when you exist in that moment of humility, it is not by accident that the word humiliation has the same root. And it feels bad. But being humble, the ego says that you can do this by yourself. The ego says you should be able to do this by yourself. The ego says if you can't do everything by yourself, then you are inferior and you should be ashamed. Humility says, I need help. I acknowledge my flaws, and I acknowledge that there is something larger than me outside of myself. There is a friend who can help me. There is a therapist who can help me. I acknowledge that I am not enough for this task. I think that's the moment you need to find, Starlight. I think that's the moment you need to find. Accept your flaws. We all have them. I wish there was a better word for that because it's not. Accept that this struggle may be too much for you and that you need help. But with humility, not with shame. Because this is what takes strength. This is what real fucking power is all about. Is about being able to be in that moment of humility. You cannot find what you're looking for in ego. You can't find it in pride or shame. You can't find it in this self-destruction. These people that you are banging around with are never going to magically become what you seem to hope that they want to become. You will never magically become what you want to. Like, there is no panacea here. There's no, like, oh, well, I just get older and then things magically happen. There is none of that. It's just exactly this fucking grinding, soul-sucking treadmill. And that's all it is. And again, I know that it's fun. I know that you're young, but you don't have as much time as you think you do. You're amazing. And I see you. I see all of the darkness that lives inside of you. I see every moment that leaks out when you don't want it to. The rage, the anger, the pettiness, the bitterness, the cynicism, all of that shit. I see it. And I know that that's the burden that you carry. And I understand the struggle that you face with it. That's why when I say I don't judge, I mean it. I don't judge because I know what that mechanic is. Those are things that have been given to you by unkind hands that don't give a fuck about you. We all make bad decisions. We are all taught what bad decisions are, and that's not always true. If blowing off some steam keeps you alive, is that a bad decision? Putting morality on this is fucking garbage, because that's not the point. I know you feel like a bad person. I know you feel like a bad person right now in a variety of ways, not the least of which is because you probably think that I think you're a bad person, or you fear that I think you're a bad person, or you're trying to prove to me that you're a bad person so that I'll shut up and go away. You've seen me go through this with other people. And I would hope by now that you understand fully that doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. I love you more than I love any other person on this planet at this point. I want absolutely the best for you. I want you to go to school and do art and learn music and get sick of those things and find something else that you want to do. And I want you to learn how to carry this burden better. I want to help you carry this burden better. I want you to help me carry mine. Every fucking day is a battle. And some days we lose, and some days we win. And some days when you do it right, it's fucking magic. And I don't know if you've ever had one of those days the way that I've had those days. The day that we got your brakes fixed, I felt like a goddamn champion. And I can't begin to tell you what that feels like. When you're able to do that, when you are able to be in that moment, humility is where love comes from. Humility is where gratitude comes from. It's where growth comes from. It's where learning comes from. You can't do those things from your ego. You can't do it. You have to be humble and humbled for those things to exist. When someone gives you something and you're ashamed, it makes me feel bad. That's your ego saying, you have created an imbalance in our relationship and I'm going to feel like the lesser of us until this is rectified. That's ego. That is pure fucking ego. And that is a really shitty way to react to someone's generosity. Gratitude comes from humility. Humbly accepting the help that someone offers you and being truly grateful for it. You can't love unless you are humbled by that love. You can't be loved unless you are humbled by that love. And everything else flows out of that. You humble me. I see your struggle and how hard you fight. And it's impossible for me not to want to get on that battlefield with you. Stand beside you. Raise my sword and shield. And fight beside you as your champion. Because that's what you are. That's what you're built to be, is a fucking champion. You have been fighting this war your whole life. The fact that you're still here means that you're winning it. where you are now is dangerously close to losing it. I don't know if any of this makes sense to you. I don't know if you care. I can't make you care about yourself, about me, about your life. The world that you occupy right now is making you smaller and smaller and smaller and feeding that darkness until it overwhelms you. And they don't give a fuck. Zero fucks are given by these people because they don't understand and they don't care. It doesn't affect them the same way. There is so much more for you. I promise. You have to make this choice. You have to make all of these choices. I respect your agency completely. It is tempting to try and but I need to be humbled by your struggle as well. So this is all I can do is love you and be there for you and do what I can to give you the tools to make the choices that I truly believe that you are not only capable of making, but that are inevitable, because that's who the fuck you are. You're a fucking champion. And you are beset on all sides by forces not of your making and by darkness that has been building your whole life. And that light just gets farther and farther away. I don't know what I can do, except hope, which is itself one of the hardest things for me to do. It's easy for me to say I love you. It's probably really hard for you to hear. It's probably even harder for you to believe, but I want you to look back on everything that we've been through and everything that you know about the other people that I love and what you've seen me do for them, what you've seen me go through for them. You know who I am because you've seen it. So believe me when I say that everything I am is available to you. No strings, no judgments, no nothing. Whatever you need, including space. But whatever you need to get to that moment where you discover yourself in that moment of humility that allows you to shed this ego stuff and take that fucking first huge step into discovering who you are from a foundational place of acceptance of both the things you don't like about yourself and that there's a larger world around you. I can't wait for that. I think every fucking poem that I've ever written about you will be absolutely justified. I really do have faith in you. And I hope that this fucking jackassery helps. So, hydrate. And thanks for being my friend.